Right.
Okay, you're free to go, please.
All right. Let's have the community development meeting for March the 15th, 2021. Call to order. Roll call, please.
Chairman Moiseo,
I'm here.
Alderman Seeger,
He'll be on shortly.
Alderman Florian,
We know she's not here.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Present.
Alderman Turner.
Present.
We got enough.
Mr. Chair, Alderman
Yes.
Seeger is present.
Oh, okay. Well, we can wait till him to get buttoned up. This ain't gonna take too long.
Well, you saw.
Chairman, would you like me to just call him again and roll, or do you want to have a motion to seat him?
No, we can just call him again. We don't have to go through all that. Call him again.
Alderman Seeger, are you present?
Present.
Ah, boy. All right, let's roll.
All right.
Okay, we got roll call. We got, clerk, do we have any audience time from anything on this agenda? Janet, you're on mute. Doesn't look like. We had roll call. Janet, do we have anything for audience time?
Sorry, no, there is no comments for tonight. for
Okay.
public.
Got no old business, new business. Item A, motion to approve zoning calendar V-1-21, vacation of east-west alley south of Belvedere Road and between Dilger and vacated Monique Avenue. Motion by Alderman Seeger, second by Alderman Kirkwood. Any questions on this? No questions? All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Seeger,
Aye.
Chairman Moiseo.
Aye. All right, and then item B, motion to approve zoning calendar 2629, a conditional use permit for an amusement establishment at 2650 West Belvedere Road. Motion by Alderman Seeger, second by Alderman Kirkwood. This is People's Choice Video moving over to that area, which I think is a good thing for People's Choice. Any questions on that?
The petitioner is here if you would like to hear from him.
Does anybody want to hear from the petitioner?
No, Chair.
Okay, we'll take a roll call on that.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Seeger,
Aye.
Chairman Moiseo.
Aye, welcome to your new location, John.
Yeah, congratulations, sir.
We have no reports and communications. Motion by Alderman Kirkwood, second by Alderman Turner to adjourn. Roll call, please.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Seeger,
Aye.
Chairman Moiseo.
Aye. Told you we'd be done in a minute and a half. Seeger, we would have been done at 5:01 and a half if you would have been fooling around in that office.
He's queuing up.
I'm here.
All right.
I was taking care of business. I'm here.
Alderman Newsome, you're ready to go.
Okay, we're going to call to order the Monday, March 15th, 2021 Virtual Finance and Purchasing Committee. Roll call, please.
Alderman Newsome,
Present.
Alderman Moiseo,
Here.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Present.
Alderman Rivera,
Present.
Alderman Seager.
Present.
Item C, approval of the minutes. I'm going to take a motion by Alderman Kirkwood, second by Alderman Rivera, to approve our minutes from the Purchasing and Finance Virtual Finance and Purchasing Committee meeting from February 16th, 2021. Are there any questions to this motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo,
Here.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Item D,
Chairman Newsome, we do have a request from our presenters this evening. If we could move up items 3A and 3B before regular business so that our presenters, one from Anthony Maselli from Spear, and then
Okay.
Kate York and Ed Whipple from on the solar presentations could make their presentations.
okay, I'll take a motion by Alderman Moiseo, second by Alderman Seager to move up item 3A and 3B. Roll call, please.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Seager,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, we're gonna take Spear first.
Yes.
Okay.
You can go ahead, Anthony.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Good evening, everybody. So just to follow up on the bond sale that'll be closing this Wednesday on the 17th. On March 4th, we successfully sold the city's $12,815,000 general obligation bond series 21A and $31,180,000 taxable general obligation bond series 21B. These bonds, proceeds for these bonds are going to be used to pay off the TIF developer note to Bridge. Combined proceeds is just over $45 million for the payoff of that note. Bonds were sold very successfully. Interest rates remained attractive at the time of the sale. So we were able to lock in a true interest cost on the A bonds, the tax exempt bonds, of 2.37%. And on the B bonds, the taxable issue, 2.63%. The average rate there is just about 2.55% as the blended rate between the tax exempts and taxables. So you essentially saved 300 basis points because the TIF note was at 5.5% with the refinancing, paying this issue off with general obligation bonds issued through 2037. We, as I had mentioned, we go to closing on March 17th, and at that point, funds will be deposited with Bridge, and that note will be taken out. So happy to answer any questions regarding the bond sale or the results.
Alderman Newsome.
Alderman Moiseo, you have a question?
Yeah, Anthony, I just wanted this general question. Are bond rates pretty low right about now?
They are. We've seen them tick up since March 4th when we issued. But yeah, generally it's a good time in the market.
2% for municipal bonds, is damn near free money, isn't it?
It's very low. Yeah, you're
It's like an auto loan where they say, I'm going to give you 0 for 60 months sort of thing, correct?
Yeah, right. And this is almost 20 years.
So now's the time to borrow, I take it.
I hope it stays that way, but we have seen rates starting to pick up. That said, yes, historically, we're still very, very low right now.
Thank you.
Alderman Moiseo, I want to thank you. This is Treasurer Schwab. I want to thank you for your comments. You're absolutely right. If there's a good time to borrow, or a good time for debt. It's when the interest rates that you're going to be charged are the lowest. So this is the time to improve as much of our infrastructure and lower this debt as we can. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Treasurer Schwab. Alderman Kirkwood.
With that being said, should we be looking at other bonds and debts that we have to see if we can reduce that across the board?
Sure. So the municipal bonds, unlike a mortgage, aren't callable at any time. So they're typically callable within 8 to 10 years after issuance. So last year we were actually able to refinance a few of the city's water revenue bonds for some savings. At this point in time, there aren't any opportunities to refund existing debt for savings, but we stay on top of those, and when they come around and the savings look good, that's when we strike on those.
Okay, because like I said, with the debt that we're in, we need to try to reduce that debt any way we can, whether it's percentage wise or eliminating the debt at all.
How much could you give us a dollar figure on how much money you think we've saved now that we've locked in and done all that?
Yeah, so I actually ran this. So using the estimated revenues that were provided by the city for the TIF and assuming 5.5%, it looked like the overall note debt service that I came up with was just about $67 million. And on these issues, we have an average an overall debt service of 57 million. So it was actually just over $10 million in savings between the 5.5% and this 2.55%.
That's excellent. I mean, I had a great analogy from a friend of mine. He said, city, no one likes to borrow money, obviously, but when the interest rates are low, ask your constituents how many of them were able to buy their house with cash. I'm going to guess not many. I mean, I got a mortgage. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't know many people that can go out and buy a house with cash. So cities, especially when you have as much infrastructure as we need to be fixed, which I think we all know, I think it was very wise of us to do this. And anytime, like Anthony says, that's what these guys do for a living. They keep an eye on this stuff. And when it pops up and we can take care of it, we just save $10 million, so that's a good thing. And that's $10 million, not in the tax rolls over a period of time, not automatically. It's obviously spread out, but that's a great thing. Thank you, Anthony.
You're welcome.
Are there any more questions for Mr. Maselli? All right, thank you, Mr. Maselli,
You're
for all
welcome.
the information.
The next item, we actually have two presenters. We have one presentation from Kate from the Citizens Utility Board. And I should have opened that. I'm not sure. Is Ms. York on?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Is it possible for me to share my screen or are you going to advance the slides?
No, as long as the administrator gives you that ability, please feel free to share your screen if you'd like.
Okay, so should I go ahead now?
Yes.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, hi everyone. It's certainly a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate everyone's time. So I'm going to start my presentation. I think I have 10 minutes and I'm going to try to keep it really brief. But the goal, I think, was to just kind of give an overview of the Illinois state solar programs and how your constituents can access the benefits of solar energy through these programs. So my name is Kate York. I work for Citizens Utility Board. If any of you are familiar or not familiar, we are a state organization. We were actually started by the Illinois General Assembly in 1983. And we were created in order to advocate on behalf of utility customers throughout the state. And that's particularly when it comes to utilities that are regulated by the state. So, ComEd, North Shore Gas would be the relevant ones in this discussion, specifically ComEd when it comes to solar policy. But we are actually not a state organization. We are funded through grants and member donations, but we have this mission to uphold the interests of utility ratepayers or customers. And so we do that before the Illinois Commerce Commission, before the Illinois General Assembly, and before the courts. We in addition to fighting rate hikes and our litigation matters, we also operate a consumer hotline for anyone who is having trouble with their utility company or with questions about how to, if they're having trouble with paying their bills, or if they are having issues, with even solar companies now. We take a number of solar calls because we're driven to try to get what's best for the consumer. We're not, interested in selling them on anything. So, but we also take predominantly our consumer hotline. We handle complaints, and so that's our hotline number there. We also publish a lot of consumer information at our website, and we offer a free service to consumers. In addition to doing a number of outreach events, we review people's utility bills to make sure that they're not overpaying and identify ways, that they can save on their bills that meet their specific needs, their household's needs. And we usually have people email ubc@citizensutilityboard.org. So when it pertains to solar, we also developed an educational website for folks regarding community solar. We're certainly seeing a lot about community solar now. And so that website is at solarinthecommunity.com. It's meant to just be an informational website with just information about different offers, what to look out for in an offer, more information about the structure of the state programs, and I'm going to get into some of the details in a moment. And so we hope that that's helpful for folks. And then we also advocate for affordable clean energy policies at the state level. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And I think I can just get right into it. So why does solar matter? So I think that this is probably pretty clear to everyone here, especially given Waukegan's, the fact that Waukegan has borne a disproportionate burden in terms of providing the energy needs for our state. We definitely want to make sure that Waukegan constituents can access the benefits of solar energy. So what are those benefits? The average system size, it says right here, can offset quite a bit of carbon dioxide. And there's a bunch of different ways that that's broken down, almost 300,000 miles driven by a vehicle, switching almost 5,000 light bulbs to LED. There's such tremendous environmental benefits to reforming our energy system to benefit clean energy for public health, but also for grid stability and the, transitioning our energy system into the future to create more reliability, more safety, and efficiency in costs. So I also wanted to mention Waukegan does have SolSmart, does have the SolSmart Gold designation. Of course, that was the result of lots of effort by the city to ensure that the solar permitting systems were simplified. And that makes it a lot easier on folks who are applying for permitting for residential photovoltaic systems. So that includes a lot of different elements that are outlined here, including transparency for customers, removing restrictions in zoning codes, training, inspection, and permitting staff, as it says, and as it says there at the bottom, Waukegan is, of course, one of only 11 communities in Illinois, and that should say as of 2020. Apologies for the typo, which have received SolSmart Gold. So it's quite an achievement and very exciting, and makes things a lot easier for residents who want to go solar. So one of the reasons that CUB is so involved in talking about clean energy is that we actually fund our clean energy programs through our utility bills. So it's an important as a ratepayer advocate for us to make sure that these programs are, the benefits of these programs are being received by customers who are paying into these programs. So this is just an example from a ComEd bill, the different tariffs or energy bill charges that go into funding our clean energy programs. The Renewable Portfolio Standard, which funds our solar programs, the Zero Emission Standard, which provides credits for nuclear power plants, and the Energy Efficiency Programs charge, which because utilities are required to offer substantial energy efficiency programs for their customers to bring down costs. These are all investments in our clean energy transition as a state, and we want to make sure that folks are getting what they're paying into. So this is where we're at right now in terms of our electricity generation. You can see it's predominantly nuclear, but renewables is on the rise. It is it's creeping up. Coal has dramatically gone down in recent years due to coal becoming much less economically salient, and natural gas. We'll see what happens if we do make investments in our renewable energy production. Hopefully we don't have a situation where natural gas overtakes where coal used to be, but we will see. And this is all information from the U.S. Department of Energy Information Administration. So this is statewide. It's not just ComEd territory. It also includes, and that's why actually in ComEd territory, it's much more reliant on nuclear energy. In the southern part of the state is much more reliant on coal. So in talking about the different solar options for customers right now, we usually break it out for residential customers, that is, and that's the focus of my presentation today, in terms of rooftop and community. So rooftop is I think the type of system that most folks are familiar with. And I say rooftop here, but it can also be what's called a ground mount system. So that's when you have it on your property, not on your roof. But basically you have the system on your property, right? And so this is a type of system that's designed for building owners. You know, that can be a multifamily building or a single family building, but you have to own the building. Generally in those circumstances. Of course, businesses also will have rooftop systems installed. Generally, that's what those programs are geared toward. Now, there's also community solar, where a solar company will build a solar installation, maybe in the community, maybe within the utility territory. It could be in a remote area as well. That is just a large solar installation that sends electricity to the grid, not directly to customers necessarily, but customers can subscribe to that community solar system and get credited on their bills. So this is generally good for renters. This is good for businesses as well. This is for anyone who can't afford a rooftop solar system or does not own the property they live in. And so they're able to get those credits on their bill. Oh geez, I got to speed it up. So the rooftop solar incentives, they include a federal tax credit, which is still good. It was recently extended. It's 26% in 2021. That's 26% of the full cost of the rooftop solar system. So that includes installation that you can get as a tax credit. Now, as a rooftop solar customer, you were also entitled to net metering from your utility company. Now, what that means is your utility company has to credit you at the same rate that you purchase energy from them. So essentially, you get credits on your utility bill for all of the electricity that your solar system sends to the grid. So that allows your electricity bill to go down substantially and makes solar a much more attractive option for folks. And then there's another program called Illinois Solar for All. Now that's a state solar incentive program that is designed for income qualified and environmental justice communities. And the way that it works is for anyone who meets the income qualifications for Illinois Solar for All, who owns their home and wants to participate in the rooftop solar program, there's no upfront cost for them to sign up as long as they can get a solar installer that is certified through the program, who's willing to install their system. There's no upfront cost, and any ongoing fees cannot exceed 50% of the value of the energy produced. And that's a very legalistic way of saying that savings are guaranteed through the Illinois Solar for All program. There are a lot of really great consumer benefits of that program for those who qualify. And it does require you to contact an approved vendor. As I said, there are 2 currently working in Lake County. There's more information at the end of the presentation on contact information for that. Now, community solar, you have the basic incentive for community solar is getting those credits. Now, you don't own the system, so you're not getting a tax credit. but you are getting credited on your utility bill. So it's still substantial financial benefit for those who want to sign up for community solar. The way that it works is you get credits on your ComEd bill, and then you pay a company, the solar company, a separate bill, but with a guaranteed discount applied so that overall you're saving. And the 3 incentives for community solar include, again, the net metering, so you're getting that credit on your bill. And then there's 2 different state programs. Now we have Illinois Solar for All again, and again, that's income qualified, no upfront cost, and you have that savings guarantee. You do for Illinois Solar for All have to find for community solar an approved project. And the only project I know of so far is the Yeoman Creek project that is expected to become online next year. For Solar for All. There are, however, a number of Illinois Shines community solar projects in ComEd territory that are available for folks to sign up for. Now, Illinois Shines is not an income qualified program, and there's also no savings guarantee. So it's not a program that is designed specifically for income qualified communities. However, all the savings guarantees that I've seen so far are around 20% or 10%. So it's still pretty good. It's not as good as 50%, right? But there are 78 projects in ComEd territory that are available for customers to subscribe to. So still significant financial benefits. So I would be remiss if I didn't address the fact that we are running out of funding for our state solar programs. So the projects that I have talked about with community solar exist and they're built and they're ready to go and people can subscribe and get those benefits, but we want to get more projects built. We want to get more rooftop projects built and more incentives going to customers. And the way to do that is to pass legislation at the state level to extend these programs. And I know that the City Council passed a resolution last year to support the Clean Energy Jobs Act. There is action at the state level right now to try to get that bill passed. There are a number of pillars in the bill: 100% carbon-free electricity by 2030, 100% renewable energy by 2050. It would build up our clean energy workforce. It would create a number of important just transition provisions for environmental justice communities or communities that have borne a disproportionate burden with regard to fossil fuels. It incentivizes lots of electric vehicle charging provisions, and it also creates utility accountability in a number of important ways. And the website for that is ilcleanjobs.org for anyone interested. And then I just did want to plug, I know I'm a little over time, but here are some next steps. If anyone is interested in accessing solar for rooftop solar, you would want to either go through Illinois Solar for All, find that approved vendor, or you could find an installer if you're not going through the Illinois Solar for All program through the Illinois Solar Energy Association. And for community solar, the same applies. If you wanted to sign up for community solar through Solar for All, you would have to find an approved project through that program. If you want to sign up for the non-income qualified project, you would go to the Illinois Shines website. But CUB also developed an offer comparison chart for community solar offers. So that's available at bit.ly/CUB chart. And that is where we've broken down all the Illinois Shines non-income qualified community solar offers that we've seen. And that's all available at CUB's website, solarinthecommunity.com. And again, I just want to plug this upcoming project. It's very exciting, a Solar for All community solar project in Waukegan that is expected to become energized or come online, come onto the utility grid, the ComEd grid in 2022. So that is when customers will start to be able to access the benefits of that project. And that is all I have. And I included my contact information. I understand this is going to be on YouTube, I think. So if anyone wants to email me or call our hotline, please feel free to do so. We are happy to take questions, any kind of questions that people have, because we want to make sure people have as much information as possible about these programs.
Thank you. And then we have Ed Whittle, the managing partner of Sun and Us, that's also making a presentation. Ed, did you want to screen share or did you want me to share your presentation?
I could share it if it's easier. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so really, I'm going to be short and sweet. So I've been selling solar and doing consultations for a while in Illinois. And what's important to our company and should be important to you and your constituents is the Illinois Shines document or the Illinois Shines brochure, which should be given to every customer before a consultation happens. And what it is the it's a brochure that basically, and this is just I paraphrased it, and I do have it notated down at the bottom. But basically, Illinois Shines brochure tells the customers the reason why, the why is the hows and the who's of going solar in Illinois, what the legalese of it is in real condensed language, and then phone numbers to call to make complaints or ask more questions and to get more education on it rather than just listening to the salesperson. So Illinois Shines is really the name of there's a brochure, and it's the name of the adjustable block program, and it's right here for the new solar photovoltaic systems. And it includes payments to customers and businesses for 15 years of renewable energy credits. So when you discuss them, there's a bunch of different ways to get the credits to the customer and a bunch of different ways to see them. And the consultation of the company, consultant of the company should tell them exactly how. And then the customer should have this document 2 times, once at the consultation and once at the end when they're signing any agreement. So they have all the information to get to the state that they can, because rooftop and community solar is regulated, where most other energies in Illinois, almost all of them, are non-regulated, meaning we're going to give you an agreement that's got to stand for up to 20 years in a lot of cases. And if you're doing a loan or a lease, and those are recorded. So if you don't know what an SREC is, an SREC is just the environmental value of the electricity generated, meaning when you create 1,000 kilowatts of energy, it creates a SREC or a renewable energy certificate, and that's paid for by the state right now, state funded. So that can either go to the company that sold the solar or the individual. But when it comes to the individual and or the company, somebody's got to pay taxes on it, and that has to be part of the discussion. So what are SRECs? I'm not going to read it. They're valuable because it is 15 years paid up front for energy the system is supposed to produce. So that's why a customer wants to work with a reputable company, because if they take the SRECs, they're guaranteeing the state that system is going to produce X amount of energy for 15 years. And if it doesn't, then some of those SRECs are going to come back to the state. And that has to be conveyed when you're discussing solar, rooftop, and community. Not so much community, but at least rooftop. Do you have to allow SRECs to be sold? In order to go solar, your SRECs, if you keep them, you can keep them. You don't have to sell them right away. It depends on your threshold for paying on the cost of the system, and if you want to use the SRECs to put towards any loan or cash you might have put out. But otherwise, you can save them and sell them at your convenience. We talked about what information you need. What are the financing and ownership options? The most common options, I really want to talk about this probably for the most of my 7 minutes, is buying the system, leasing the system, or signing a power purchase agreement. In Illinois, we basically have buying a system for cash or loan, or leasing the system. In my opinion, leasing the system is a good idea for customers who don't have the cash or don't want to assume the debt to income ratio of buying a system if they have to take a loan. Leasing, I believe the Cub had mentioned that some of these options has to save you money from the minute you turn on the system. In most cases, in leasings would be that one. When you buy a system, it's usually 8, 9, 10-year return on investment, or longer if you take a longer loan. Talking to the customer about their financial goals is important, and the customer understanding why they should get into any one of these options. And not every option fits the customer needs. So when you're called, you can let them know there's no bad option. It's just what fits your needs, what fits your income, and what's your threshold for taking on debt to buy a system. That has to be talked about in the lease. There's leasing options where the customer can lease a system for 20 years. They're going to save money on their ComEd bill. They're going to get net metering, but the savings, it can't be guaranteed depending on usage and so forth. So you clearly have to highlight what's going on in the economy and what's going on in the environment when you're selling solar. And then again, when deciding the best option, I'm not going to read it. It's basically the cost of it. And if you have the threshold to take a loan and what that loan interest rate is going to be. So your constituents should know there's plenty of financing options out there. And if they're uncomfortable with one, they just need to look for another company. This document itself will tell the customer they should get 3 quotes before going solar. And I agree with that. I think that, again, not every solar company fits every customer. So get 3 quotes and find the one that you're most comfortable and do your investigation. Find out if they have Better Business Bureau complaints and find out if they're long-term. So, the more you educate your customers on not taking the first option available, the better they're going to be and the more educated they're going to be, because everybody that comes into their home will give them a different presentation, and those different presentations will give them the piece of information they need to become an educated consumer. If you get solar panels, are you get guaranteed to save money? Not always. If you buy it, you're going to be out of pocket. Even if you take a cash, if you're paying back yourself for your cash investment, it could take 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So you might not save money until the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th year. And depends on, where you bought your system, how good it's producing and so forth. What current kilowatt hour rate are you currently paying for electricity? Remember that ComEd should be the basis of all electrical rates. There's a lot of people selling non-regulated energy out there, and their rates could be higher than ComEd. So if you're being pitched a system and you're paying, let's say, 17 or 18 cents for energy per kilowatt, and you're on a small energy company that's not ComEd or one of the major ones, NRG and so forth, and they've raised your rate, and you get pitched a solar lease at 12 cents, it may not be the best deal because ComEd right now may be at 11.5 cents. So you really have to understand what ComEd rate is and make them the base point for your savings. Because to get net metering in Illinois for both your supply and demand, ComEd has to be the provider and the deliverer. And then how much electricity will the system generate? Customers need to know it's not eternal energy, that you're not going to put solar up there and it's going to produce X amount every day and you can use as much energy as you want. Solar is based on your last year's energy usage. We can do 110% of what you used in the previous year. ComEd stops it at 110%. So if you use 10,000 kilowatts last year, we could make 11,000 this year, but that would be it. So if all of a sudden the year after that you use 12,000, we only built you for 11,000. There's a chance you'll be paying 1,000 kilowatts of energy to ComEd. It's not much, at 11 cents a kilowatt. It's not that much for 1,000 kilowatts paid to ComEd if you're saving on the solar side. But you just have to know that solar is meant to produce a certain amount of kilowatts. And once it's built there, you hope that it attains that. But if you own it, ownership means if we get 5 months of darkness because it snowed and there's no sun and it's not producing, you may not produce that 11,000 kilowatts in a year. As for the lease, for some people who just want to know what they're going to pay every month and if they're going to get that guaranteed savings, most leases in Illinois provide a guaranteed rate. So if they say that's going to build 10,000 kilowatts, they're going to guarantee that they're at least going to produce 95% of that, or they're going to pay you back as a bill credit on your next year's solar bill. So for example, if you produce 8,000 kilowatts of energy in a given year, and you're supposed to produce 10,000, they'd credit you for 1,500 kilowatts of energy. So it just depends on what you're doing and what you're in and which particular way to go. But your sales associate has to ask these questions. What's important to you? Understanding that your bill is going to be the same every month, understanding the risks of the sun, or, you know, just being secure in what's going to happen and how you're going to be, how every month is going to look in your energy contract. And then how much money will you receive in SREX? Well, it changes depending on the block. I think they discussed that they're getting ready to go to a vote, I think in May, June. And we're not quite sure what the price of the SREC will be for every 1,000 kilowatts. We're assuming it'll take a 4% dip from where it was in 2020. So maybe around $65 an SREC would be worth $65 for every 1,000 kilowatts, but we're not quite sure where that's at yet. Can you use a federal tax credit? If you buy your system, again, the federal tax credit is yours. It's always important to know that if you put it back against your loan, if you get a loan, you diminish the cost of the loan. If you took a loan and it was an expectation that you put your tax credit against the loan, you should do it. Otherwise, it's going to re-amortize. And a lot of customers don't know that. They don't know that they're getting an 18-month interest-free loan on just the price of the system without the tax credit, because the solar companies are assuming you'll use your tax credit to pay towards your loan, and the sales rep should tell you that. If they don't, and you don't put it against your loan's going to re-amortize, you're going to be paying more. Your constituents should see that and understand that too. And just having the Illinois Shines brochure and these questions that it's going to ask in there is important, so they can think about that when they're having their presentation. And then I'll just skip, because I know we're running a little long. Your consumer rights is in here as well. Illinois Shines is approved vendor, or as an Illinois Shines approved vendor, we'll submit your PV system for application for the program. And then if it's accepted, you'll be able to get solar, you'll be able to get the SREX, and you'll be able to get interconnection through ComEd. There's some rules with ComEd too. That's a whole nother conversation. And then at the end of the Illinois Shines brochure, you get your complaint procedures, which I feel is very important to be able to show people, you know, if I or anybody doing a solar consultation does not give you the right information or is not on the right track, or you even question anything they say, you can call any one of these numbers or email the IPA or the APBP, and they will get you the answers that you need and the IPA. So if, you know, I feel that this is the most important thing a customer should get right away. Every customer should get it as soon as you begin talking to them. You need to tell them to read through it. You need to tell them to have their questions ready. You need to be able to answer their questions, but you need to make sure that the people working within your community are educating the customers to their options in solar. It's a great thing. It's just the education, you know, it's not a 15-minute conversation. It's probably a 2-hour conversation or longer. And I sent the email down here is where you would go, https://illinoisabp.com. That's where you would find a lot of information about solar in Illinois, rooftop and community. And that's where you would download the actual brochure for Illinois Shines and make it important. You can download it and have it ready for your constituents. If they want to come in and learn more about solar, you can hand them that. We can drop some by for you if you need to as well, and we can get you as many as you need. So thank you for giving the opportunity. It's very important that you educate the people of Waukegan. They're important to us. So let me know if you have any questions, and thank you.
Questions?
No, thank you, Mr. Whittle, and thank you, Ms. York. Great presentations.
Yes.
You're welcome. I appreciate it.
Madam Chair, I just have one question.
Alderman Kirkwood?
Is it possible that
these presentations could be given to some of our ward meetings. Would they be willing to come on to some of our ward meetings to talk to some of our residents directly?
Mr. Whittle and Miss York?
Absolutely. So I live in Gurnee. I'm right next door to you guys. The co-owner of our company, Louis Mercado, lives in Waukegan, and either one of us can be on a Zoom. We like when we can get back into in-person presentations. We love to do those as well. So whatever you need from us.
Okay, well, we would probably do it as a Zoom, like usually we have quarterly meetings, in the 4th ward. So I would like to see if I could, I'll get your contact information and let my constituents in the 4th ward, hear your presentation, so that there's individuals within the 4th ward that do have solar panels, and some are interested. So that way they can hear directly from both of you.
And
Yes, and I just wanted to echo, I'm very much happy to meet with people as well and to present or to answer questions that people have.
yeah, and I would just tell you guys too, for your constituents, the ones that have solar, you guys are probably going to be being reached out more and more. They're not understanding. Every quarter, our company does a how to understand your ComEd and your solar bill, because it's hard to understand the two, because they're two different billings. And no matter who they were sold by, whatever, your constituents are more than welcome to jump on our Zoom, and we walk through how to read your billing for solar and ComEd, because it's important that they know what they're looking at, especially in a pandemic. Things change and usage change. So I'll send over Tina our information for our next educational series. That's all it is education. So they won't get any pitching or anything. We just talk about how you read your bill.
Okay,
Excellent.
sounds good.
Chairman,
Alderman Castillo?
Alderman Kirkwood, maybe would even be more efficient or effective if we just set up one meeting for any Waukegan residents that wanted to know about it, instead of, maybe jamming up a ward meeting, because this is a quite lengthy presentation and there might be a lot of questions, and you know how ward meetings go. You could be there for 5 hours and, lose people because not everybody's problems are germane to this thing. But I think getting this out to the constituency would be very important. The question is, do we do it through Zoom? Do we wait till we can get back in person and then bring these guys in and invite people to city council, or have it at a school or something of that sort, so it can be a little bit more effective and efficient? And see if, just something to chew on, to think about. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of how could we get it to the most people more efficiently. Just something to think about.
Well, I'm willing to work with, any of my colleagues to, get this out, and what is most efficient. So, my concern is for the whole city. But,
Yeah.
If we want to wait, with this COVID being out as it is, and we're not at herd immunity yet. So the thing is that we want to get that information, to our constituents. And I agree with you, Alderman Mosio, that we try to have the whole council, on board and do it in a place that we can be safe. But those who are interested can certainly hear the presentation and understand that they can have an opportunity to raise those questions.
Yeah.
Maya Duda is our sustainability coordinator for the city of Waukegan. I believe she's on the Zoom. I'd be more than happy to follow up with her, as well as our presenters after this meeting. She was instrumental in putting this together and seeing if we can schedule something like a committee of the whole or board meetings or something like that. So I'm sure that's something that Maya can help us get scheduled.
I just don't want these poor people to have to go to 7, 8, 9 ward meetings and regurgitate. And this is quite lengthy. It's very informative. It needs to be done, but I don't want to get lost in the weeds. And Alderman Kirkwood, I'm with you 100%. I think we need to think about how can we get this rolled out the best way. And I mean, do we really want people to sit on another Zoom? I'm about zoomed out myself, but so I don't know. I'm just I really want to do it for the community. I just don't know what the best way is. So we need to think about it, I guess.
I agree with you, Alderman Mozio. So I mean, I just want to, as you do,
Yes, I'm
get
with
the
you.
information out to everybody.
I'm with you. Thank you. I'm with you.
We're gonna wait on Miss Tina to work with her person.
Maya?
Maya, to get that set up. And if anybody wants to tune in to the Learn How to Read Your Bill with Mr. Whittle, whenever he has that presentation, we can make sure that's available to any resident, that they can learn how to read a solar bill or their ComEd bill, and then they can determine if they're interested in solar after learning how to read their ComEd bid or what bill or whatsoever. So we'll leave it up to Tina, and then we'll go from there.
If I could make excuse me, if I could make just one additional comment. I forgot, I was nervous about filling in all the information about solar, but I forgot to mention that ComEd is going to resume disconnections as of April 1st. And so I just wanted to notify you so that your constituents know that there is still ample LIHEAP funding through Cap Lake County, and there are going to be there's going to be additional funding for folks who are income qualified. And if people are income qualified, they need to call ComEd, and they won't be disconnected until, I believe, June 30th. But they do need to call ComEd to state that they are they've just self certify for financial hardship. So I did want to add that, and we are happy to do additional outreach and virtual events to let people know about those and other programs in addition to solar.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kate. Alderman Rivera.
Thank you, Alderman Newsom. I just wanted to again thank Ms. York and Mr. Whittle for the information. As you can see, it's very it's very well received. I can see that our constituents will also be very well interested in long-term saving money. But again, I just wanted to thank you for your time. Thank you for the information, and thank you for what you have started.
Thank you.
You're
All
very
right,
welcome.
we're gonna move back into our agenda items for finance and purchasing, new business.
Chair, I don't know if we did the public comment.
Oh, okay. No, we didn't.
Okay.
Clerk Kilkelly, are there any public comments for the Finance Committee?
No, ma'am, there are not.
All right, thank you. Item 2, new business. Item A, motion to award a contract to the lowest responsible bidder for the spring and summer 2021 roadway project improvement project, Schroeder Asphalt Services, Inc., a persons with disabilities business enterprise, vendor certified by the Illinois Department of Central Management Services, for the amount of $680,333, with an additional authority of $50,000 in project contingency for discovered conditions bringing the total to $730,333. This project uses 2018 GO bonds. And I'm going to take a motion by Alderman Moiseo, second by Alderman Kirkwood. And the bidding documents went out February 3rd. We received 4 on February 19th, 4 proposals, and Schroeder was the lowest qualified. Are there any questions to this motion? Alderman Rivera.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the lowest bid at 680, and I would assume that the 50,000 additional authority would be added to anyone else that won the bid.
Yes.
But my concern is that $50,000, kind of authority. And I'm all for it. I'm all for the 680. I'm all for the project going to this particular vendor. I would just like to see that $50,000, additional contingency authority removed, because that's something that I believe should be coming through council. If it's greater, if anything is greater than $25,000.
Would you like to make a motion to amend?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Alderman Moiseo.
The only thing, Alderman Rivera, would be if they got to a project and they found out they had to spend more money to get it done, they'd have to stop the work, wait for us to approve it, and then restart it again, I'm assuming. That's, that may be why this is put in there, because if they get to a situation where they're doing some work and they find they need to do some more work, they're gonna have to stop and not do any work until the next council meeting to approve it.
But that would be if they got to $680,000. I mean, they would have to get to $680,000 and then stop all work, and then we would have to approve the 50,000. I can't see a company like this large, getting that close to that amount without knowing further costs are going to be coming down the line.
Well,
I mean, with,
let me speak to this. Let me speak to this. This is for the Lewis Avenue project from Belvedere to Washington Street. Once they go underground, you never know what you're gonna find.
Oh, agreed.
And so, traffic control devices, whatever, I would hate the project to have to be stalled, if they go over.
you're talking about, they could have the road ripped up, have it down to one lane, have to stop. Traffic would be a disaster, have to wait possibly 2 weeks for the next council meeting for us to approve it, which I'm assuming we would approve anyway. That's just my thought.
And I can understand and appreciate that information, but I still can't see a professional firm like this getting so close, especially, I mean, we're talking almost $750,000 here, where they would say, oh my gosh, we need an extra 50,000.
Well,
Well,
They
this
op-
is not.
if they open the road up, and they see that, they might know. And as they go, it might just keep ticking. They open the road. It's like a human body. They open up. They don't know what they're going to see inside there. They're giving their best estimate on it. But to me, that's why they put it in there as a contingency. If we get to this and we see this, we may have to do a little extra work to make it work.
It may not get to 50,000.
Yeah, it may not.
It may get 10,000 over. It may be 20 over. And if it get to 25, I mean, if it doesn't get to 25,
it may not even get there. They may meet the actual $680,000 bid.
Right.
I'm just saying, if we could amend it so we have a little bit more control. I have issues with releasing a $50,000 authority, and we know damn well it's going to be used up. And so it pretty much turns this into the highest contract at this point. So again,
Alderman?
Yes.
Alderman, I think some of this 50,000 is in consideration for some of the underground work in case there is some problem. I know we did cambered it, and there is one little problem in there. There's a brick halfway through that's going to have to be addressed. And there's certain I'm assuming that's what this contingency basically is for underground work. Because if you get Campanello or whoever contractor they decide to get in, because that could take some time. Like I said, we've cambered and we've done the best we can, but there may be even other issues when they start to work. And I think that's what this is for.
Oh, no, I clearly understand, Mike. Thank you very much for that explanation. But I still would like to, I'll approve this by amending that $50,000.
Is there a second to that motion to amend?
Kirkwood, Seeger. There's a motion on the floor to amend the contingency fee to what, 25,000? Or what did you want?
50,000. It's 50,000. The contingency is 50,000.
What did you want to amend it to? 0?
0, yeah, 0 contingency, and we accept the 680. If there is an issue, it comes to council. That's really the process.
That's what you're supposed
Okay,
to do.
so the motion to amend by Alderman Rivera, is there a second to that motion?
Second to the motion to amend. There's no second, Alderman Rivera.
Okay, I just wanted on the record that I'm stating what I'm stating.
Absolutely. We have a motion on the floor to go with the $730,333. And it's coming out of the GO bonds. And we have a motion by Alderman Moiseo, second by Alderman Kirkwood. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager,
You're muted, Alderman Seager.
Alderman Seager,
yes,
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
No,
Alderman Newsome.
Aye, motion carried. Item B, motion to authorize participation in the Lake County Joint Purchasing Agreement per section 2-458 subsection I3 relative to the purchase of sand, CA6 gravel, pulverized topsoil, and washed stone, number 6 stone, from Manoni and Waukegan, Inc., in an amount not to exceed $30,000. Our motion by Alderman Seager, second by Alderman Rivera. Are there any questions to this motion? This is the Lake County Joint Purchasing Agreement, and we'll be following that. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Rivera,
yes.
Alderman Seager,
aye,
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye, motion carried. Item C, motion to extend the contract with CBIS Direct Document Management for 1 year to April 30th, 2022. The originally approved on January 16th, 2018 by City Council following a request for proposal process for outsourced bill printing, mailing, e-bill service with pricing as presented, dependent on volume and other factors. I'm going to take a motion by Alderman Kirkwood, second by Alderman Moiseo. I spoke with Ms. Tina regarding this issue. It was a 3-year contract. We're asking for an additional 1-year contract. At the end of this year, fall, it will be going out for bid. We're in the process. You jump in, Ms. Tina, if I don't get all the information that you
Okay.
gave me. We've been working on some different glitches, I guess, what we have in there, or what is that we've been working on to?
Right, so we just finished the upgrade from version 7.8 to version 9.0 for our ERP system, our financial system. And a big part of that is our water billing and licensing system. And we're still working through some issues. It's working okay, but whenever you go through that large of an upgrade, it's very time consuming, and this would just be one more facet. If we could change vendors, we could do an RFP and change vendors, certainly. But it does change interfaces. This is the way people get their e-bills. It's the way they get their paper bills. So we'd rather work through all of the upgrade challenges that we're seeing, and then continue with this particular e-service provider and bill printer and mailer, who we're also using for paychecks right now. We use them for business license renewals, and then do an RFP in the fall. So they might win the RFP again, but then have a new vendor in place by May 1st, 2022.
Thank you, Ms. Tina.
Chairman,
Alderman Moiseo.
Ms. Smigalski, I don't know if this is the time, but I have had some inquiries about water bills, about they'll get the water bill and it's due like 3 days later. Is that one of the snafus we have with this?
Right, so and Alderman Florian, we just had an issue where an entire cycle didn't make it out. So we'll have 2 months of usage on one bill coming up here next week. So there's a couple things. One is, yes, we did make a transition over. So the meter reads are still coming over fine. We're able to read those, but getting the all the information pulled over to a third-party vendor has been a bit of a challenge, and it would be whether it was CBIS or not. The other issue we're having, I know it's easy to blame the Postal Service, but it is true. CBIS or any of these other vendors are going to send these bills out via US mail. So that has been slow. It's in the news that there's issues with mail. We do mail paychecks, and I know we've had employees that have waited 2 weeks, and we know exactly when they get mailed. We can tell through the CBIS, there's a tracking system. So we do encourage customers to sign up for the e-bill service. It really is the fastest way to get your invoices. But yeah, I understand that that's part of it. And it is a frustration, not only for our water billing customers, but also our employees that are dependent on US mail during this COVID time. They can't come pick up their checks. We have to mail them to them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the budget. It works very smoothly, but you know, some of these old timers, they're stuck in their ways. They want that paper bill. They want to write, and so I'm just trying to accommodate everybody. So, okay. Thank you, Tina. Thank you.
Miss Tina, is it possible to get on a different cycle? I know that the billing cycle is not like it used to be.
It's monthly now. It used to be quarterly, but cycles are based on location. We have 24 cycles. So that's based on location for the meter reading purposes.
Okay. So they're actually giving people what, 15 days?
Right, from the time that it's generated. So if you sign up for e-bill, the minute that invoice is generated, you're receiving an email notification, and you can still get both. You can still ask for the paper bill and get the e-bill, so that you're not waiting for it to come through the US Postal Service. As Alderman Moiseo mentioned, you can sign up for what's called auto debit, where you sign up with us and we automatically debit the amount from your bank account when it's due. We also can set up monthly billing. So if someone wants to have, say that they are a minimum usage and they get a $15 bill every month and they know that's about what they're going to get, they can set it up where they're automatically remitting $15 to us. So we do try to, you can pay by phone. We have a toll-free number. You can pay online. And you can also pay in person here at City Hall. We are open. We have been open. Our windows are open to take in water payments. And we also have a drop box outside of City Hall.
Alderman Kirkwood?
Well, I know that, sometimes the bill does come late. I can agree with that. But what I've done is just put a certain amount downstairs in the City Hall, so that I know my bill is going to be $20 every month. I put $60 down. Then when I see that it's time to pay some more, I do that so that I don't have to worry about, because one time I paid it late because I got it late. And, I just paid whatever that penalty was. But certainly, with some of our constituents, they don't want to pay no penalty when it came in the mail. And by the time they got it, they didn't get downtown to take care of it. So there's different ways that we got to work with, some of our seniors and some of the other people that don't have that mode of transportation, and everyone's not tech savvy, they're afraid to let somebody have access to their account and take money out.
Okay. All right. Any more questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Moiseo?
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood?
Aye.
Alderman Rivera?
Aye.
Alderman Seager?
Aye.
Alderman Newsome?
Aye, motion carried. Item D, motion to extend the contract with Third Millennium Associates through April 30th, 2022, originally approved in 2013 by City Council following a request for proposal process for outsourced vehicle and dog tag renewal mailings, software services with pricing as presented dependent on volume and other factors. This matter, let's see. It currently, the only major development to happen since its inception is this contract in 2021. The cost for the totality of the project will now exceed $25,000. Currently, the police department is anticipating to pay over $33,000 for the program. So that's why it's coming to the council. And this is another contract that will be going out for RFQ later this year.
Right, there's a couple things. One is it's a good contract or RFP to do at the same time as the water billing, printing and e-services, because many companies now offer all of these services as a package where, 3, 4, 5 years ago, that was not the case. We do use this Third Millennium though, as the database to track all city stickers, which is a little different. IPS, which is the system that we approved for the new parking meter system and the point of sale systems at the paid lots in the garage, also has similar solutions now for city stickers. So with the advancement of the technology that's out there, that would be a very good time to go out to bid and look at some new solutions for city stickers. But in the current environment with COVID and trying to switch over now would be a little difficult at the current time. So in the fall or winter, both the water, I call it water billing, but it's also our business license renewals and liquor license renewals. All of those receivables, as well as the city sticker solution, could be something we could look at in tandem.
All right, thank you. I'm going to take a motion by Alderman Moiseo, second by Alderman Rivera. Alderman Taylor.
I just had a question with the dog tags. How much money do we make off of dog tags? Because there seems to me like there's a lot of people that don't buy dog tags. And are we spending more time trying to collect the money than what we're getting out of it? I don't recall exactly what the numbers were, but I didn't think they were that high.
It's in our budget to actual report.
Okay. I didn't notice it.
Animal tags year to date, we are at $1,700 total. In the previous year at this time, we were at $1,300 total.
Like, does it cost us more to collect that than what we're taking in though?
I haven't done that kind of cost benefit analysis of that fee. And maybe there's the registration might be for public safety reasons or public purpose reasons other than revenue generating. So there may be a reason that the police department wishes to have these registrations submitted. That's not related necessarily to a cost benefit analysis.
I know when I checked into it one time, our tags that we use are not traceable to like track your pet with. So, I'm all for bringing in revenue. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a great thing. But what I'm worried about is, are we spending more money trying to collect on this and there's no real benefit? So I don't know if that's something we look into or think about or whatever, but I know in the past, I think probably in 2016, I asked about it and there just weren't that many tags sold. And I thought, it's a lot of process and paperwork to do all this and in people's time. Is it something that it's worth pursuing, or do we become more diligent about collecting it then? You know what I mean?
Alderman Newsom.
Alderman Moiseo.
I agree with Alderman Taylor. This may be something we need to revisit. You gotta remember too, if you go to the vet and get a rabies shot, they give you a county tag.
Yes.
So why, to me, we ought to just get it off our books and not monkey around with it anymore. The county does it anyway. When you get your dog's vaccinated at the vet, they give you the rabies tag. So to me, I think it's just over governance. I think we need to get rid of it altogether and quit monkeying around with it. I know the police want to know, we need to know for public safety. I get all that, but that's held by the county animal people have all that information anyway. So,
For those that actually register their dogs.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, if you get a rabies shot, they're automatically going to be registered. If they get a rabies shot, they're going to be registered by the county. So, and then to just go down and get a dog tag from the city, there's no need.
How much is a dog tag?
It's $10, I think, a piece, and if you're 65 or older, it's $5. But the problem with it is, like, I mean, I'll be honest, I have 4 dogs, and I've had some that have passed away. And when I get my registration, they still have the dogs on it that have passed away years ago. So that we're not keeping track of it at all. I mean, it's not something that, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but if we're gonna do it, we're not getting nearly the number of dogs that we have in the city. We're
We
getting
had-
a very small percentage buying
I-
tags.
I agree, Alderman Taylor, and to me, I don't think we should have a staff person. Wait, you know, it's still data entry. You still got to fool around with it. It's going to take time. We have far more important tasks in the city of Waukegan for our people to do than to be monkeying around with dog tags, in my opinion. So that to me, that's where the cost benefit analysis comes, is you got somebody sitting around doing this, wasting, I shouldn't say wasting, but let's say they're taking up 30 hours or a week doing it, or whatever it might be, or whatever it is. There's other tasks that are far more important that we need done. I think we all know that, than entering or editing dog tag information. I agree, Alderman Taylor, but my opinion is, let's just get rid of it. We don't even need it.
Respectfully, if I could have the police chief
Absolutely.
research that and get back
Yeah,
to the
that's
committee,
fine.
since that's
That's
in
fine.
his purview.
Or
That
maybe-
is a very, very small part of this particular contract, though. The
Right.
majority of this contract is related to vehicle tags. But I will certainly ask the chief to follow up on those concerns and recommendations.
Alderman Kirkwood,
I think we need to be very careful because there's residents that will question some of the other things that we do as far as generating, and I won't comment on that, but they wonder, why do we have these certain things? So let's be real careful, because there's a lot of constituents that will say, tell me why we pay this every year. And a lot of people don't pay it and continue to get away. And we do resources. Just last week, they were doing seatbelt checks, cordon off different streets and things like that. And they do other checks. So, we need to be careful, because people will say, justify why we need to do that when we have this, that all you got to do is look at this and, I live here. Okay? So let's be
Point
careful.
taken. Point taken, Alderman, point taken.
Okay, so let's be real careful when we start looking at situations like that.
all right, we're gonna wait on the chief.
Okay.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Okay, Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Seager,
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo,
Right.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye, motion carried. E, motion to authorize the mayor to extend an agreement originally authorized on August 17th, 2020 pursuant to section 2-458 professional services with GHA Technologies for an amount not to exceed $75,000 for the purpose of software and hardware. I'm going to take a motion by Alderman Seager, second by Alderman Rivera. I spoke with Mr. Eric today, and the reason why this is coming to council is that IT is using the same company as well as the police department. And with the purchases that the police department just has made this go over the 25,000. This requested authority will allow the authorizing body to process outstanding and future invoices to cover the remaining fiscal year, not to exceed 75,000 to GHA Technologies. And I believe there was an emergency expenditure to bring online the Axon interview and investigation rooms for the police department. Are there any questions to this motion? Roll call, please.
So, I'm sorry.
Alderman Rivera?
So this is for specific software?
Yeah, I'm sorry, ma'am. This is,
Mr. Eric,
yeah, what ended up happening is we had an emergency repair for the interview systems that the police department uses, which resulted in we had to purchase extra back-end equipment to support the new system that was actually on schedule to be built, but it wasn't for a few months out. But due to the system failure, we had to move it up in the schedule, which ended up being in this fiscal year. So With the result of that, plus what we've got going on, our renewals that are coming up in the next 2 weeks will bring us up to that $75,000. Unfortunately, because GHA is what we use to purchase all of our small project items, it just built up to over $25,000. So this is the reason why, according to the Muni Code, Section 2.544, due to a vendor, stipulations by the finance department that anything over 25,000 for a specific vendor, not by a specific project, but due to that that cap, we were forced to sit there and go over the $25,000 limit. It wasn't for one certain project.
Okay, so this is to cover all of the projects that went over.
Correct. It was just a combination of commodities that we bought, and it just finally exceeded $25,000.
Okay. You know, the new cameras that were installed in the interview rooms, does our software need to be upgraded because of the new cameras and the new is there anything that was affected because of that? Are we upgrading because of the new system that was installed?
No, it is not. Well, it could be considered to be an upgrade, but it was actual entire switch out. They switched over to a whole new system.
Okay, and that was something that we didn't anticipate, or it just came up?
No, it was actually a project that was scheduled, but due to the system failure of the old system, that resulted in we had to push up the project.
Got it. Okay. Thank you very much, Eric.
Thank you, sir.
There's no more questions. Roll call, please.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Seager,
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye, motion carried. Item F, ordinance authorizing the disposal of personal property owned by the city of Waukegan, specifically 1983 Oshkosh T-12 ARFF vehicle with serial number 21499. And this is the vehicle that is past its useful life and a new one has been purchased. I believe this is up at the airport.
Fire Chief Bridges, looks like he's on. Not sure if he's available, but we did receive a new airport fire vehicle. He could describe it better than me. So this is the very, very old one that we had. It's a 1983. It's really not suitable for trying to resale or trade in. So we are going to use it for some training exercises and then scrap it.
Thank you, Ms. Tina. A motion by Alderman Moiseo, second by Alderman Kirkwood. Are there any more questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager,
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye, but you better have former Alderman Tempest take a look at it, make sure it's truly not usable.
he'd find a use. Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye, motion carried. Reports, Ms. Tina, would you like to take that? We've done Item A and B.
Sure. So actually, if Mr. Hewitt is on, he did want to update the committee about a water main break at Greenwood
Okay,
and Joe Favero Drive.
Okay. Mr.
Yes,
Hewitt?
I'm here.
Okay,
Any questions? I brought this forward at the first convenient or first meeting of the council to let them know that there was an estimate of $8,000, but I'm not sure exactly on the price because I haven't received the bill, which I will go over to make sure it is accurate before I bring it to council. Thank you. Any questions?
no, thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Hewitt. Mr. Hewitt,
Thanks.
Ms. Tina?
So we have the rest of the normal monthly reports enclosed, the water consumption report, business license, rental licenses, our stabilization fund. I would like to point out that at the current time, we have no intra-fund loans between funds, so that's great news. For years, our health insurance fund and our work comp fund were in the red, so we got those all paid off. And then we have our special events. as well. We are starting to see some interest again, so that's good news. So our website is open and available. We have FAQs about special events in the city of Waukegan. So if you know of anyone that's interested in a parade, a special event, or anything like that, please have them go visit our website. It has a lot of good information on it, and we can start getting some applications in here to get special events going again as soon as we open back up. And then the other reports, I'm happy to answer any questions. We have our video gaming report from the state, our push tax report, food and beverage, hotel tax, and then of course the budget to actual report as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions regarding our reports? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to take a motion by Alderman Moiseo, second by Alderman Seager, to adjourn at 6:25 p.m. Roll call, please.
Alderman Newsome,
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
We are adjourned. See you all at 7.
Thank you.
The time has come for the Monday, March the 16th, 2021, virtual Waukegan City Council meeting. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager,
Present.
Alderman Mozio,
Here.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Present.
Alderman Newsome,
Present.
Alderman Turner,
Present.
Alderman Rivera,
Present.
Alderman Florian, Alderman,
No, now you're muted.
Present.
Alderman Taylor. Present. Alderman Bolton,
Present.
Mayor Cunningham.
Present. Good evening, Alderman. Next on the agenda is invocation by Pastor Willie L. Moulton, pastor of Christian Faith Fellowship Church in Waukegan, 228 North County Street, Waukegan, Illinois. Immediately after the invocation, please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Moulton. You're muted, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Somebody hear me? Okay. Father God, we thank you and we praise you. God, we just honor you for this day. This is the day you've made. We're rejoicing and we're glad in it. We thank you for this great city. Lord, we thank you for watching over this city and keeping this city. We thank you for building this city. We thank you for our mayor, God. We ask that you continually bless him and bless this great council, God, in making them one that this city may move forward in a great way. We thank you, Lord, for the great things you're doing. Have your way in this meeting, God. And we thank you for the great things you're going to do. God, we give you the glory. We give you the honor and the praise. We thank you for every leader. We thank you for our police chief, our fire chief. We thank you for all those who lead this city. God, we thank you for touching our mayor and touching his life in a great way, that this city may go forth and higher. We thank you for this meeting. Have your way is my prayer. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
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 All rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor Moulton. Next item is mayor's comments. Mayor's comments. For those who have not heard, we certainly have some sad news for our Waukegan family as a whole. The city of Waukegan and the Waukegan Police Department offers its condolences to the family of retired Officer Randy Furlow. As many of you don't know, but his daughter Shamika, a longtime employee of the city of Waukegan, was her dad, and I've been knowing Randy. Matter of fact, I went to school with Randy's one of Randy's younger brothers, Itil, and I grew up on the same side of town, elementary, middle, high school, and this is a big blow not only to me personally, but certainly to the Waukegan Police Department. I think Randy had, if not 30 years, very close to 30 years of policing of this community in which he grew up in, Waukegan, Illinois. So our heartfelt condolences goes out to Shamika and the rest of the family. Mrs. Duffy, of the Duffy family, Mrs. Duffy was, I think, 96 years of age. I can still vividly remember Mrs. Duffy and a beautiful smile. So condolences goes out to the Duffy family. Condolences go out to Apostle Harry Stackhouse family, who passed away late Friday evening. Pastor Stackhouse was very instrumental in Waukegan city government for many, many years. He used to tell me about the different mayors he had a relationship that dates back to Bob Sabanjan one, Haig Pavonian, certainly the late Richard Hyde, and myself. So on behalf of the mayor's office, Clerk Kilkelly, Treasurer Schwab, all the aldermen and great citizens of this community, we send our condolences to their family. I think Doc Schwab is going to speak in reference to Pastor Harry Stackhouse later on.
Well, just
Go ahead.
just a minute. I met him first time when I was 11 years old, so I've known him an awful long time. Had a number of different dealings, different committees, different projects that we've worked on. Just one thing I wanted to comment about his family. I'm a podiatrist. I had patients. I had a patient that lived just right near the Stackhouses, and a comment that they made that their mother wouldn't let them walk on somebody else's grass. That's the discipline the whole family has. Harry being the pastor, et cetera, but he's the youngest, and all of the family has done well, very well. Great Waukegan citizens, great Waukegan family.
Thank you, Doc. And for those who don't know, Mrs. Copeland, former Alderman Copeland, that was Harry's sister. And I don't want to begin to start naming all the sisters there, but for those who know Mrs. Copeland, again, it just hurts. Lake County is ahead of the national average for COVID-19 vaccinations. We're asking everyone, please remember to register everyone in your family 16 years of older at the allvax.lakecohealth.org. Again, that's allvax.lakecohealth.org. So all members of your family can be notified when a vaccine is available. And I think that number used to be 18. They have changed the number to 16 years and older. Live shows are back. The Genesee Theater with Three Brothers Theater hosted Genesee Street Cabaret, a small venue with limited seating, tableside service, following social distancing guidelines. Upcoming shows can be found at GeneseeTheater.com. Waukegan Proud Award goes to Francisco Daniel Rea as one of 5 winners on the Estrella TV's Tango Talent. I'm going to say that Tango Talent as an ambassador of our community's rich cultural history and proudly representing the city of Waukegan. Street sweepers. Street sweepers have been out since the warm weather last week, melted when the snow was melting, street sweeping by the curbs. We want to thank everybody for continuing to observe alternate parking as it makes their job easier. Advanced disposal started pickup of yard waste today. You can put your yard waste out on your regular collection day as long as it has a designated container or craft bag with a sticker. Prices for the waste remain the same as last year at $133.33 for the subscription and $2.51 for individual stickers. Again, you can put your yard waste out on your regular collection day as long as it is in a designated container or a craft bag with a sticker. The Artist Yancey HBCU College Tour is virtual this year, as always. It will be next Tuesday, March the 23rd, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Waukegan High School and Crystal Ray St. Martin de Porres students who are interested in participating may register at waukegantownship.com. Oh, wow. Here's the many prayers, folks, many prayers for the Sylvia family and their family member who was in an accident. I'm going to read a statement that I received. I want to send my thoughts and prayers out to the Sylvia family. Now, if you're from Waukegan, you probably know at least one Sylvia. We received some terrible news recently, and I just wanted to let people know last month, Adam Sylvia was involved in a horrible hit and run accident. Adam lost both of his legs as a result of the accident. This young man was a teacher, a football coach down in New Orleans. I'm told he is doing amazing in his rehab, but we would expect nothing less from a young man with his roots. From Waukegan, that is. So on behalf of all of us here at City Hall, the aldermen, the great citizens, we wish Adam and his family the best, and please know your Waukegan family is thinking about you. Well, last but not least, congratulations to the City of Waukegan's PR department, who was recently acknowledged for their work with the Park District on the 4th of July parade. Jane Ferry has actively supported Waukegan Park District by promoting and participating in the events, including hosting the award-winning virtual American Independence Award shoebox edition. It was pretty unique. In recognition and appreciation of her outstanding contributions to Illinois Park and Recreation Association and Illinois Association of Park Districts, along with the Waukegan Park District, presents a 2020 Community Service Award to Jane Ferry. Let's give it up. Jane. All right, David Motley, who has emceed for the Waukegan Park District's American Independence Day Parade for years. This past year, he and Jane Ferry emceed the award-winning virtual American Independence Parade shoebox edition, in entertaining thousands of viewers in recognition and appreciation of his outstanding contribution. The Illinois Parks and Recreation Association and Illinois Association of Parks, along with the Waukegan Park District, presents 2020 Community Service Award to our very own David Motley. All right, David and Jane. But if we can give awards to those two for not just for emceeing, but for all the things they do around the city of Waukegan, we would. But I think a simple that we thank you and we appreciate what you do for our community. All right, that ends all of the mayor's comments for now. We're going on to item 2, proclamations and presentations. There being none, audience time. Madam Clerk, audience time.
Thank you very much. We have a couple of letters. They will be read by our very own award recipient, Jane Ferry, tonight. And Miss Jane, they will be timed 3 minutes each. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk Kelly. The first one is from Nicole Hernandez regarding raffle applications and the overarching theme of a Titanic ship heading straight for an iceberg while the crew and captain says the waters are clear and calm. Turner's concerns were valid. He brought up the fact that the dates for the ordinance waiver application were already passed. He questioned clarification of a fidelity bond. The city attorney was not even able to answer the question. Sam, it was unacceptable and unprofessional as not only a representative of our city, but the mayor to degrade Turner's concerns as a pet peeve and speak of how this has always been done regarding the raffle application last week. It is disgusting on the part of the mayor and every city council member that voted in favor of a contract that they didn't understand, especially when the attorney openly admits to lack of knowledge on said subject. It is sickening that all fail in line with the power trip rather than standing for the city in truth and justice. Not one of you responded to the fidelity bond question with something appropriate like, well, maybe we should table the issue until we have clarification on this portion of the application. Not one of you made the responsible choice. Not one of you likely noticed, let alone took the step to speak up about the fact that the application for the bowling club was not even signed. Fidelity bonds, from what I understand, are not archaic, as the seemingly unaware city attorney stated. They are basically a form of insurance so that way if the applicant is fraudulent, then the applicant and the city are safe from any litigation suits. By voting yes, you are essentially saying, yes, we support you. We co-sign your raffle. To reiterate, if there are problems with any raffle, the city, the mayor, and even the voting members of council individually can be sued. Fidelity bonds provide protection for future lawsuits. Attention to details are demanded by the people from here on out. The fidelity bond waiver would likely be a supplemental contract with verbiage and oversight from state of IL gambling laws. The fidelity bond waiver should be filled out and signed. Applications should be signed. It is absurd that we choose more of the same when we are an extraordinary city. Be extraordinary and stand up for truth and justice at all costs. We are Waukegan strong. Prove it. Respectfully, and yet demanding far higher expectations of transparency and accountability of you all, Nicole Hernandez. Please attach the following IL laws to meeting minutes and distribute to council and mayors. 230 ILCS 15/3 from chapter 85, paragraph 2303, section 3, license, application, issuance.
Roger
The
that.
second one is from Rachel Chenier. Good evening, Mayor Cunningham, Alderman of Waukegan, City Attorney, and constituents of Lake County. My name is Rachel Chenier. As a 22-year citizen of the city of Waukegan, I would like to acknowledge and thank the City Council for its structure and purpose. It has served me in many capacities throughout the year with issues, concerns, and assistance. I am coming before you to have my statement on record that I would like to give you official notice of an issue within the city in case you were not fully aware. The water has been turned off this week by a city official and by a potential buyer and petitioner of conditional use permit at 200 North Green Bay Road, Waukegan, IL 60085 in the property formerly known as Ramada Inn and now owned by Waukegan Hospitality Group, LLC. The city of Waukegan did not provide proper notice to the legal tenants of 200 North Green Bay Road, Waukegan, IL at Stretches Sports Bar and Grill. I would like to add on record that since the water has been turned off, major financial damage to the business and inventory has happened. Thousands of dollars in potential revenue and inventory have been lost. Lastly, I would like to put on record that the liquor license appeal has been filed with the state level commissioners. However, the city of Waukegan has revoked that said license after appeal filed. Attorneys and city will be attending an emergency hearing to establish the right to a stay for scheduled official hearing. It should be noted that there have been no liquor license infractions since 2018, and the infraction for the hearing is one of non-compliance with proper proceedings. Said notice was delivered to Mayor Cunningham's insurance agent office address instead of the official business. We pray that the public voice is heard and that the legal law is upheld in accordance with city, state, and municipal policies. And we respectfully request the transparency of such decisions for the electing community members. Talk to you soon, Rachel Chenier. Madam Clerk, those are the two comments.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jane. And those letters in their entirety will be on board docs. And they are now. So thank you. Mayor?
Janet, you're muted if you're speaking. Mayor, you're muted as well.
Got your mute on, Mayor.
Oh, all right, there we go. I have two mute buttons, Alderman Turner. Alderman Turner, that beard, man. I like the beard thing. That's the Abe Lincoln kind of look.
Thank you.
Okay. We have consent agenda item 4 as a motion by Alderman Newsom, second by Alderman Mozio, to consent agenda items 4A through L. Are there any questions to the motion? Alderman Turner.
Yeah, I'd like to pull out items, excuse me, items D, G, and H, please, for discussion.
D, G, and H. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions to the motion? Items 4A, motion to approve regular meeting minutes from Monday, March 1st, 2021. Items 4B, motion to approve zoning calendar V-1-21, vacation of east-west alley south of Belvedere Road and between Dilger and vacated Monique Avenues. Item C, motion to approve zoning calendar 2629, conditional use permit for the amusement establishment 2650 West Belvedere Road. Items E, motion to authorize participation in a Lake County joint purchase agreement per section 2-45, parentheses I, parentheses 3, relative to the purchase of sand CA6 gravel, pulverized topsoil and waste and washed number 6 stone from Mini and Minokian McCompton Inc. And what's a tough one? Amount not to exceed 30,000. Items F for F, motion to extend the contract with CBIS Direct Document Management for 1 year, April 30th, 2022, originally approved January 16th, 2018 by City Council, found a request for proposal, RFP process for outsourced bill printing, mailing, e-bill services with pricing as presented, depending on the volume and other factors. Items 4I, ordinance authorizing disposal of personal property owned by the city of Waukegan, specifically 1983 T12 ARFF vehicle with a serial number of 21499. I'm assuming those are the last 5 digits. Items 4J, motion to approve vendor payment dated March 15th, 2021, in a total amount of $2,472,993.31. Items 4K, motion to approve regular payroll dated March 12th, 2021, in a total amount of $1,579,770.24. Items 4L, motion to approve other payroll, comp time, cash out, PD, holiday, buyback, elected official, civil service dated March 12th, 2021, a total amount of $16,389.53. Any questions, other questions to the motion?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Alderman Taylor, please.
Alderman Taylor.
I'm just looking at this as you were reading it. On item I, it says disposal of personal property. Is that the correct terminology? Because does the city have personal property, or is that the correct verbiage on that?
No.
That is the
Mayor,
correct.
do you,
That is the
Bob, go
correct.
ahead.
That's the correct verbiage. Personal property is everything other than dirt.
Okay.
City is not a person. Right? It's going to be a capital asset, Bob.
You can call it whatever, you can add that, but it is still personal property.
And I'm putting my insurance hat on. Anything that is owned by the said person is personal property.
This is a corporation, not a person.
Mayor, may I?
Oh, God. All right. If you want to get technical, Tina, they'll believe you.
Okay, it's personal property and real property. Real property, I think what Mr. Long was talking about is real estate in both accounting and legal terms. Real and personal property is anything that's movable. So things like a fire truck or a lawnmower would fall under personal property for both of those definitions. They may or may not be capital. It depends on the value of the asset.
Mayor Cunningham.
Clarification.
Mayor
Yes.
Cunningham.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I heard Alderman Taylor. Alderman Taylor, would you say something, Alderman Turner? Alderman Taylor?
Oh, I just said thank you for the clarification because I just noticed it when I was looking at this now, and that's
Okay.
my clarification.
Thank you, ma'am. Alderman Turner.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge that you were correct. I do believe Mrs. Schmigelski. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Any other questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor,
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Motion passed, sir.
A motion by Alderman Newsom, second by Alderman Moiseo. And the reason I was doing this, I heard it was in both those two committees, so that's why I'm using those two aldermen for the first and second. Motion to approve, motion to award contract, lowest responsible bidder for the spring 2021 road project improvement project, Schroeder Asphalt Services, Inc., a person with disabilities business enterprise, DBE, vendor certified by the Illinois Department of Central Management Services for the amount of $680,330 with additional authority of $50,000 in project contingency for discovered conditions, bringing the total to $730,333. This project uses 2018 GEO bond funds. Alderman Turner, you had a question. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. I have a question about this $50,000 additional authority to spend. That been bringing the contract to a total of $730,333. You know, this I never heard of this, where you grant authority beyond the bid on the contract. So if they wanted 730,000, that's what they should have bid. I understand that things are discovered during the course of projects. I'm a project manager, program manager. This is what I do for a living. But I cannot, I can't even grasp how this comes. So I would like to make a motion to amend this proposal to remove the $50,000 additional spending authority and just wrap it all together as a total of $680,333.
Your Honor, may I speak?
Okay, we got Alderman Moiseo, then Alderman Rivera. Alderman Moiseo, go ahead, sir.
Alderman Turner, many times when they open up the road and they find things underneath it, they end up having to do more and more work. Alderman Rivera brought this up in committee. And if they end up getting to the end and they open up and they have to spend an additional $50,000 on a project, you could potentially have Lewis Avenue blocked off and unusable from Belvedere to Washington Street. And we would have to wait possibly 2 weeks to come to this body and approve the work to be done, or we would have Lewis Avenue shut down.
Right.
I think you know who would be fielding all of those calls about traffic problems, potential traffic problems. In the past, what's happened is people would do this and then they would come forward with a change order saying, we've opened this up. We found that this is a lot more work to get it right. So we're asking for this, the contract's going to exceed this much more. To me, this is a much more efficient way to do it, that they've built in a contingency, and that if they open it up, they don't have to stop work. They don't have to come back to this body to reallocate funds, because if they have to stop work, they'll just send their workers home, put a barricade around it and detour cars or whatever may have to be done. In my opinion, I just don't think that's very efficient, but that's my opinion. Thank you.
Well, that's a great point of convenience, Alderman Moiseo. However, we have an ordinance that requires a council approval for an additional expenditure in excess of $25,000. And there will be nothing to preclude us from holding an emergency council meeting in the event that was necessary. One. Also, when you're running these projects, and your project manager, program manager, your superintendent, foreman should be looking far enough ahead to understand when we get to point A or B in the project, what's our remaining spend. And if they get to a point where they're spending their $600,000 and then a $680,000 contract, they should be able to ascertain whether or not they're going to have an additional spend. But if they don't, and they don't see it, they don't foresee it, and they get to a point where they do need it, then that's why we have the ordinance. That's why we have the controls. That's why we have the accountability of the council to approve those expenditures. What we're essentially doing here is giving them a $730,000 contract on a $680,000 bid.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Alderman Turner. Alderman Rivera.
I just want to acknowledge, I totally agree and understand with what Keith is saying regarding a project manager being able to not anticipate that something like this is going to go bad, but not that all work has to stop because something, major. I mean, we're talking worst case scenario. And possibly if I could suggest that, I mean, I understand the work has to be done. We don't want anything to be held up. If we could maybe get if the project does go in over and into the 50,000, if we can get a detailed listing on the back end of what actually occurred, just so that we are assured. I mean, the project won't be held up, but on the back end, we'll be able to have the information that we're looking for kind of right now, what would cause something, what would be the $50,000 overage? Because we don't, and it also kind of, I agree with Alderman Turner. It kind of sends a bad message, here's an extra 50,000 just in case.
Well,
But again, getting the detail on the back end, if it is spent, what it was spent on, I think would be satisfactory.
Well, Alderman Rivera, I just want to say this to you. The $680,000 is there. That's the contingency. Whenever whenever we're going into the contingency, a detailed report is always attached to what the contingency was for. That's standard. Okay. But it's as far as Alderman Turner, to Alderman Mozio's point, we were trying to be more efficient with you as opposed to coming to you and say we had to do it because the road was open for those conditions. We thought we'd build in that contingency. But I remind you, not only our engineers, but our public works director, along with Chris Garland, who is your foreman for asphalt, they're on the job right now. What they typically do, we have what is called weekly meetings on the road program, and we find something from that stretch of on Belvedere from 120 to Washington. That's probably going to be a major reconstruction of that road. That's one of the reasons contingency was built in there. Dave Becky, who's our sewer guy, was like, Mayor, I know there's some sewer problems. The challenge I have, I just don't know where they're at. And you won't know until you open up that road. That's why we built the contingencies. But to Alderman Rivera's point, I kind of anticipated that. So we will give you a detailed point, a detailed accounting if we go into that, but we're probably going to know way before we go there, because we have those weekly meetings. That's something I like to know what's going on all the time and understand. That is 120 going to Washington. That's one of the busiest intersections in the city of Waukegan, from that 3 to about 5. So I understand your concerns, Alderman Turner, Alderman Rivera. I get it. Alderman Mozio, as you know, you have been doing this several years, so you kind of anticipated those. But I'm well positioned to say that your team is on it. But thank you for bringing that to our attention, sir. Okay, Alderman Taylor. They want to go for the vote. Alderman Taylor.
I've never seen it written like this before. How do we normally handle that? Is it change orders, or how do we normally do it?
Well, Alderman Taylor, typically that does come back as a change order. And as you can remember, vast majority of the aldermen like the change orders they dislike. So we can do contingency on the front end or change orders on the back end. To Alderman Mozio's point, that particular intersect, any road, to be honest. And I think I called all of you when there was a water main break right at Greenwood in Sheridan. That was open down to one lane. That's not fun. So the best thing to do is put these contingencies in there, and I wouldn't necessarily as an open checkbook. What it is making sure we can continue on with a project of this severe. Water main breaks, opening up roads. I figure Washington Street is going to be another one of those roads. We're going to have to come back. It's just a total reconstruction, and you're talking probably 40 years on that road alone. So I truly hear what everyone is saying. All right, we got Alderman Mozio, and then we can probably go on to the Alderman Mozio. I'm sorry, who? I didn't.
Alderman Florian.
I'm sorry, Alderman Florian. I didn't see it. I apologize, ma'am. Alderman Mozio, then Alderman Florian.
Alderman Taylor, in the past, I know I've never seen one in all my time on there. I've never seen this, and I part of me sort of likes it, because in the past we might get a call from the director of public works and say, look, at Alderman, we're going to have a change order, but we can't stop these guys from working. shut the project down. So they're gonna go ahead and fix it, and then they'll submit a bill to us later about what they did. And that has caused some angst in past councils, because they say, well, why didn't we know? And when, of course, when the contractor or director of public works says, look, opening the road is like opening up a body, in a way, for analogy. You get in there and you don't really know, and next thing you know, it's a lot more work than you thought. To me, at least with this, we've given them $50,000, whatever the word we want to use, so that they can keep going. Now, I would assume, and I think I know Mike Hewitt well enough, that if they got to this and they started dipping into the 50,000, Mike could call us and say, hey guys, Alderman, Mayor, these guys are going into the $50,000. I opened it up. This is how much more work they have to do. This is what they're going to do. My whole point of this is I don't want to get to a point where we have to shut down a project of this magnitude and cause more traffic problems in the city of Waukegan. That's my whole motive. And I totally understand Alderman Rivera, and I totally understand Alderman Turner's point. None of us like to give people, for lack of a better word, a blank check or something like that. But to me, in my opinion, this is a better way to do it, to build in a contingency, than having that call, hey, we gotta fix this, and we don't know what it's gonna cost, type of thing. And next thing you know, we get a change order and we're like, well, they had to do the work, and it increases the contract. To me, I sort of like this contingency, but that's just my experience, in my opinion. Thank you.
My only concern with that is, like, how do we know that it'll only be 50,000? Like,
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
well, I'm assuming you're going to keep us informed.
yeah, that's Alderman Taylor. That's a good question. You don't know what they're probably using the best experience they can use and their knowledge, and saying, if we run into something, it might be, it's like a doctor when he gets in there and he says, you need this done, but if I get in there and I see this, you might need that done too. This is probably what it's going to cost. That's just
Okay.
the best analogy I can get.
Thank you. Thank you. Alderman Florian.
Thank you, Mayor. Mike, I have two questions. My first question is, when they do a project like this, I mean, I'm assuming, that's probably what, a mile of road at about, approximately, maybe a little less. And so I'm assuming they don't, they're not going to spend $680,000 on the first day. So as the project goes along, I think, as Alderman Turner was trying to say, they're going to know when they're getting to the 500, 550, 600,000 range. Hey, okay, we've made it 3/4 of the way, but we still have a quarter to go, and we only have 10% of our money left. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like all of a sudden one day they're gonna be like, oh, we're out of money today, we got to close the road down and wait 2 weeks for city council. I mean, it just seems a little ludicrous to me in a project this size that all of a sudden that would happen. But I don't do roads, so maybe I'm wrong about that.
Ma'am, and that's for everybody. Again, the contract is $680,000. This is a contingency. To your point and everyone's point, we have weekly road meetings. So as we move to that, we will surely let you know if we even get close to that. So this is a contingency. You can do, and this is just what we thought we were trying to address your overruns. Once you're there, you start moving, at least we have it. So
okay, I do have one other question though.
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
Since this is the lowest bid, the 680, but with the 50,000, was everyone else going to get a $50,000 bump too? Like, does this still qualify as the lowest bid?
Yeah, ma'am. The contract is for $680,000 and $680,000 and $333. That was the contract. If we get to that dollar amount, and between IEI, Mike, and our financial, we get to there, that's when the contingency starts kicking in. And I, to be honest, I would call you, as I've done in the past when we get, and it may be something probably severe. So the answer to the question is, they're getting a $680,000 and $333 contract. That's where we're at. This contingency is for any event that there is something we don't know that can keep going on. Just so so the contingency is the contingency. And that's where we're at with that. As far as that question is concerned, we have Alderman Seeger. I had his hands raised, and then we'll get on to the motion on the floor for Alderman Turner. Alderman Seeger.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mayor, didn't we learn anything from Water Street and Washington Street project when it collapsed? Both sides.
Yes, sir. I mean, we certainly had a lot of different variations and variables that existed when we started doing these streets. I mean, the fact of the matter is our streets are old. They need to be reconstruction on some of them. Some of them, it's called 1.5 to 2 inch of overlay. Unfortunately for this particular street, and I can remain Washington, some parts in our side streets that we're going to move in, they are going to cause us more problems. We just need to be better. We're just trying to be more efficient in how we address those problems. Your concerns are valid. They should be. I respect that. But I also respect that from our public works director, his team, along with our engineers, they will make sure they have the best interests of Waukegan at hand. Thank you. There's a motion on the floor from Alderman Turner. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Florian. We're going to amend, this is an amendment to the motion to drop the 50,000. All right, roll call, please. I don't need to say the dollar amount, do I, Bob? Okay, roll call, please. This is for the motion. If you want to drop the 50,000 from this, then your vote will be no. I'm sorry.
Your vote will be aye.
Your vote would be aye. I stand corrected. Your vote would be aye. If you want to leave it as it is on the agenda, your vote would be no. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seeger.
Explain that again. How would that vote go?
Alderman, if you want to leave it as it is on the agenda, on this amendment, vote no. If you want to amend it, then vote yes.
Nay.
Alderman Mosio.
No.
Alderman Kirkwood.
No.
Alderman Newsome.
No.
Alderman Turner.
Yes.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
I'm gonna go aye on this.
Alderman Bolton.
No.
5-4, motion fails.
The motion fails. The actual motion is on the floor. There's a motion by Alderman Mosio, motion by Alderman Newsome, second by Alderman Mosio, to award the contract to the lowest responsible bidder, spring, summer 2020-2021 road project, improvement project, Schroeder Asphalt Services, person with disabilities, DBE, vendor certified by the Illinois Department of Central Management Services, CMS, for the amount of $730,333, correction, $680,333 with an additional authority of $50,000 in the project contingency for discovered condition, bringing the total amount of $730,333. There's a first and a second on the floor. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seeger.
Aye.
Alderman Mosio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
No.
Alderman Rivera.
I'm gonna vote no on this one.
Alderman Florian.
No.
Alderman Taylor.
No.
Alderman Bolton.
You're muted, ma'am.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passed and carried. Items G, there's a motion by Alderman Newsome, second by Alderman Mosio, to extend the contract with Third Millennium Associates through April 30th, 2022, originally approved in 2013 by the City Council following request for proposal RFP process for outsourced vehicle and dog tags renewal mailing and software services with pricing as presented. dependent on the volume and other factors. Alderman Turner, you had a question?
Yes, sir. This contract was originally signed in 2013. I don't have any details. I don't know if it was an 8-year contract, but they've had it for at least 8 years now. And we're looking to do another extension again without going out to bid. I can't, it seems to be a pattern where we continually do these contract extensions without bid. I think this defeats the purpose of our bid ordinances and legislation out of Springfield, and it's just not right. And then that's one. And let me continue as well. And then I question the necessity for. I understand that this is what the motion is, but within this motion it mentions the dog tag renewals and mailings for those things, and I question the necessity for us even doing dog tags and requiring a license for dogs. It seems overburdensome, redundant, and unnecessary. That's my comment. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mosio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
No, I won't be voting
Alderman Rivera.
any no
Aye.
bid contracts.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor. No. Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Motion passed. Motion by Alderman Newsom, second by Alderman Mosio, to authorize the mayor to extend an agreement originally authorized by on August 17, 2020, pursuant to section 2-458 professional services with GHA Technologies for the amount not to exceed $75,000 for the purpose of software and hardware. There's a motion on the floor in a second. Alderman Turner has a question. Alderman Turner.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I did hear IT Director Vela kind of talk about this. I understand the necessities within the scope of the expansion of the camera systems for the interview rooms in the police department, all and so forth and so on. I get it. What I kind of take a question to is that when I read the supporting documentation, it referred to software and back-end hardware or network hardware or something of that nature. It's very vague. So we're kicking another $75,000 on top of the initial spend for the camera systems, but we don't have any detail what's that going for. To say back-end network equipment, that's pretty vague. It could be a switch or a firewall that we're going to give $75,000 for, but because it didn't go out to bid, we just extend or just approve it here. Maybe we could shop it and get it for something less. So I take exception again to no bids, no details, and vagary. We need more transparency. So again, those are my comments. Those are my concerns.
Okay, Alderman, thank you. But Alderman, I think if you take a look at all the stuff that Eric Vela does as the IT director for the city of Waukegan and all the things that he has to be responsible for, I'm almost certain he has it in there. Maybe we can get you the details that you're looking for that you didn't see in the outcome, but we'll get that for you, sir. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mosio.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
No.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Motion passed and carried. Thank you, Alderman, for tonight's business. Number 5, reports and communication. There's a treasury report on file, and item B, report from Treasurer Dr. John Schwab. Doc?
I just need to report to the city council. It's been quite a number of years since we've had a fraud case. It's not internal fraud. It's a check we set out on, I believe, a water refund. Somebody got a hold of it, did a wonderful job. It's called washing. They wash off the original. They use the basic check and some of the basic information, and they change the check amount to $4,500. We've filed that with the police department, and we've filed that with First Midwest Bank. A couple of years ago, several years ago, We had three made up checks. Some of this, they weren't even good wash jobs. But after reported to city council and a thing that I instituted with First Midwest, we had no more. We had three, they were small amounts, et cetera. The bank stood behind them, and we will see, and I'll report on how this comes. But they photocopy, they did a photo deposit, but they had to deposit it in an account. So we're gonna find out what account that went into, and the police department will follow up on that. Any questions?
Alderman Taylor.
I'm sorry, what did you say the original amount was?
As small, it was a
Like
small,
45 or something like that?
the check that they wrote was for $4,500,
Yeah,
and that's what they cashed.
wow.
Okay.
But yeah,
So
that's a big difference.
I believe the other one was 17. The refund check that they were getting was $17. Makes no difference.
Wow.
Okay, that won't cost. Okay, we won't get. They didn't cash the check, so we don't get the 1,400. We're trying to get the 14. I mean we're trying to get the 4,500 back.
Right.
And
Wow.
the bank and the PACs that stood behind it, and we will see. We'll see where this goes. But they deposited simply, okay, off their phone, but they had to deposit in an account. They didn't cash it. Okay.
New
So
scams.
the bank would not have the bank would have not cashed that check out. I've got process in place that won't happen to us. So we'll see. I'll report to you when we find out more. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'm done.
Thanks, Doc. Appreciate it. Items 6, 7, 8, 9. Alderman's time. Alderman's time. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Alderman Seager.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on the COVID-19 shots. I recently went over to Greenbelt Community Center. North Chicago and Waukegan residents are allowed to make the appointment and receive their shots there. My next appointment will be March 25th. That'll be the second shot. I had no problem with it. The staff was very professional and very friendly. And I felt good afterwards. Just letting everyone know, go out there and get your shots. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Mosio.
Yeah, just one thing, referencing Mr. Stackhouse. I knew him well, not really well. I knew the family well. As one of his sons, I coached in football. The only thing I can say is we need more Henry Stackhouses in the world. I know that much. We need more Stackhouse, we need more families like the Stackhouse in this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Kirkwood.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I send my condolences to the Duffy family, to our police department individual who passed away, but also Apostle Stackhouse. I had his children at Jefferson. He was a good athlete. He ran until he was way past senior status. The whole Stackhouse family has been a staple in the Waukegan, North Chicago area. So certainly it was a great loss for this community. So I send my condolences to the entire family. Also, I want to mention that I also took the COVID vaccine this morning at Greenbelt Cultural Center, and I've had no effects. I was going to videotape, but they clearly had signs said no videotaping, no photos. But I would encourage everyone to sign up and get the vaccine. I also signed up to have the CDC monitor me
my symptoms if I have any, so that they would know. Because I know in the Black and brown community, there are concerns about taking vaccines. So I want to make sure that you know how I feel after, probably about 12 hours, and I feel good, no pain, only where the injection site is. Next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll take the second shot. I'll report back again, to the council, but I want to encourage everyone to sign up. Also, I want to give a shout out to the Waukegan Public School District, Walgreens, the City of Waukegan, the Divine Nine, all of those that participated at Waukegan West Campus High School on Saturday, where we gave over 1,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. It was just outstanding that all those partners came together on that Saturday from 7 o'clock to, I left at about 4:30. So excellent job, where we got a lot of people vaccinated on Saturday. As I told the mayor, we need to do it again. The partnership with Walgreens was outstanding. It was put together rather quickly, but Waukegan Township, just everybody was on board. And that's what we need in order to get to herd immunity. Also, I want to point out that the Fourth Ward will have another meeting on June the 8th. I will get information out on Facebook to you, but June 8th from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. You can send questions to my phone at 224-470-8595. I'll read that again, 224-470-8595, or to my email, rudell.kirkwood@waukeganil.gov. Let me know where you're directing those questions to, whether it's you want the mayor to answer it, you want Public Works to answer it. I'd like to have a good turnout as a whole. Also, Alderman, there's a group on Genesee that is going to be doing a Keep Waukegan Clean campaign. I will forward you the information. We like for it to be a citywide, where there's yard signs. We talked about it at the Fourth Ward last meeting. It's in English and Spanish. I'll get that information to all of you. I'd like for you all to participate. We need to keep Waukegan clean, and this is coming from the Genesee Historic Preservation Area on Genesee. I think it would be a good idea that we all get on board regarding that. Also, the last thing is that as we begin to open back up the city, we still need to be aware that we need to wear a face mask. We need to make sure our social distancing, washing our hands, because once again, just as we're going downhill, we can go back up. And we don't want to keep going on this roller coaster ride. We want to get to the point where we can have activities in our city and people are not continually getting infected. Other states are saying, don't wear masks, just do what you want to do. They're having burning mass situations. We need to make sure we can get to the point where we can have some events downtown and around the city. So let's keep that in mind as we go forward. Let's have a great week and hope everyone stays well.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Newsome.
I also wanted to offer my condolences to the Stackhouse family. If anybody's familiar with Stearns in downtown Waukegan, Pastor Harry pretty much ran that store many, many years ago. And Pastor Deborah staples in our community. And he's going to be greatly, greatly missed. And then also, Officer, I first met him some 20 years ago when he stopped me in Sunset. I guess I was speeding, he said. But he He came to the car. He was very pleasant, big smile on his face, and asked me, where are you going in such a hurry? And he did end up just giving me a warning. And I'm happy to say I've never been stopped again. He made me kind of like, hey, think about how fast you're really going. So that was my first encounter with Officer Furlong. Pleasant man, very, always with a smile on his face. I'm sure his family is hurting, and the Waukegan Police Department. So my condolences go out to them. And then also to the Duffy family. Just wanted to offer my condolences to that family as well. That's all I have.
Thank you. Alderman Turner. Thank you, Madam Clerk. In the 6th Ward, I have both happy and sad news. The happy news is I want to congratulate and welcome the 6 new police officers who were sworn in last Thursday. And then the sad news is one of those police officers was Mr. Josh Nickerson, who was code compliance officer assigned to the 6th Ward. So Josh is now police officer Nickerson, and I really congratulate him. I worked closely with Josh. He did a fantastic, fabulous job for us in the 6th Ward, and I miss him already. So in his absence and until that position is filled, I'd ask all the 6th Ward residents, if you have a concern about code compliance, code enforcement, building, obviously neighborhood cleanliness and neighborhood safety issues that may have normally been handled or addressed by Mr. Nickerson, please contact me directly, and I'll take steps to find a solution and resolve those issues. My phone number, again, for those who don't have it, is 847-445-3788. That is the best way to contact me, is to call or send a text. Second best way is to email me, and I prefer you use my personal email. That is Keith, Keith, at Keith, Turner.com. Keith at KeithETurner.com. And lastly, point of note, maybe I don't think many people realize this. I heard our clerk, Janet Kilkelly, mention it when she spoke in the beginning part of the meeting. She made a reference to board docs, and boarddocs.com, BOARDDOCS.com is where all of the meetings and agendas are kept and supporting documentation. So sometimes you hear us talk about things, and the mayor might reference it was in your material, it was in the packet or something of that nature. One of the aldermen may say, I read the documents or something of that nature. And that's what we're referring to. Those documents are stored up on board docs. Once the meeting agenda goes public, is published for the public, then anyone can access it by going there, doing a search for the city of Waukegan and a relevant meeting. Be careful, be safe. Thank you all for your time and your attention. God bless you. Good night. Thank you, Alderman Turner. Just going to also say or add to your comments on board docs, you can also access it through the City of Waukegan website on the agenda page. So you don't have to put in board docs, you can go right to the City of Waukegan agenda page. Alderman Rivera.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
I'm sorry, Alderman Rivera, before you start, Alderman Turner, to add to that substitute, feel free to have everyone to know, you can also call the mayor's office. We'll get someone from code compliance in the event that doesn't have to, that they can't reach out to you. But the mayor's office, me and Mike has already kind of discussed that. Those calls can come in through code compliance, my office, and we'll deploy somebody out there immediately for that. All hands on deck until we get that replacement. Okay.
Great.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Alderman Rivera.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to add my condolences to the Stackhouse, the Furlow, and the Duffy families. Certainly, a loss of a family member is devastating. God bless them, and Waukegan strong. I also wanted to mention the COVID-19. Please continue to be mindful when you're out in public. Please sign up for the vaccines if you can, and if you can, help a neighbor who may not be computer savvy. Just check on them to see that they do have at least the resources to be able to sign up. Lastly, I wanted to congratulate Jane Ferry and David Motley on their outstanding recognition. They are both an outstanding addition to our city. And I appreciate all the work that they do for us. Thank you very much. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. Alderman Florian.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I want to also echo Alderman Rivera's condolences to the families that have lost family members, and the congratulations to both Jane and David on their well-deserved recognition for the 4th of July parade, shoebox parade. I also want to reiterate what Tina said earlier in our committee meeting, which not everyone may have heard, about our water bill situation out by me. I don't know if it just affected my ward, but most of the people in my ward did not receive a water bill this last cycle, and so they will be double billed coming up. So just look for that to be happening soon. Hopefully there won't be any glitches with this, second bill coming out, and people can get them paid. There are other options, as Tina had referenced. There's a way to pay electronically and so on. So just be aware of there being other options rather than putting a check in the mail. I wanted to talk a little bit about our tax levy in Waukegan. It's been suggested. I don't understand how the tax levy works, and so I just wanted to explain. I had a long conversation with Miss Tina today about the tax levy and the tax rate. We do not vote on the tax rate as a city council. We vote on the aggregate levy, which is basically for the library, the garbage, pensions, that sort of thing. The total levy also includes the bonds, which we don't vote on that per se. That's carried over from the bonds that have been approved going forward. So we don't necessarily vote on that the night we vote on the tax levy, but it's included in that amount. So the total levy, the aggregate and the bond levy, that dollar amount divided by the EAV, which is the equalized assessed valuation, which is the amount set by the county, how much our property value is worth, is what creates the rate, the tax rate. And that is what is applied to your assessed value. So the tax rate can go up or down, and the levy can go up or down depending on the circumstances. And depending on what you do with your own personal property matters, because your assessment may not necessarily, your neighbor's assessment may not change, but if you add an addition to your home or a new deck or finish your basement or those kind of things, then your own personal assessment is going to go up. So while your neighbor's taxes may stay the same or even go down, yours may go up based on what you're doing with your home. So there's lots of factors involved in this, and it is very complicated. I've been an alderman for 2 years, and it still sometimes is a little baffling, but rest assured that we do not vote on the rate. That is created by other factors. And so the rate changes based on the total levy and the assessed value of the properties in the city. So one other thing I wanted to talk about, I had spoken to the mayor several months ago about the reparations Evanston was doing. They're going to use their proceeds from the marijuana sales in town to give reparations to people in town based on several factors, and it's mostly to do with housing. I suggested we do something similar in Waukegan with our proceeds from the marijuana sales, the taxes, and I was mostly thinking we would do something along the lines of housing and education so that we can lift up that community. There was a really good article in the Tribune over the weekend about Evanston's plan. I just want to highlight a couple things that Mr. Steve Chapman, who wrote this article, said. He talks about how difficult tasks don't often get done because they're difficult. Evanston has a history of racial exclusion and discrimination. In that respect, it's hardly unusual, but what's unusual, its commitment to recognize that history and address its consequences. And he goes on to talk about some of the issues with, well, why should we do this? And how is it going to be fair? And how can we identify who should get it and who shouldn't? And his summary is, someone who wrongly injures someone is obligated to compensate that victim. It also reflects on the fact that the legacies of this country, bad as well as good, belong to all of us. So he goes on to describe some of the program, and he says it's a narrow targeted program which invites attacks for its modest reach and limited access. But I believe some of these issues could be addressed. So in summary, he quotes Richard Rothstein, who wrote in his book, The Color of Law, "We have created a caste system in this country, with African Americans kept exploited and geographically separated by racially explicit government policies. Although most of these policies are now off the books, they have never been remedied and their efforts endure. The task of overcoming the crimes of the past is one that will never be finished, but it at least can be started." So that's all I have. Thank you. Thank you. Alderman Taylor.
Thank you, Clerk Kelly. I want to start off by saying I am the proud Waukegan 9th Ward Alderman reporting to you live from, guess where? The city of Waukegan. The misinformation being spread that I live in Libertyville is just that, misinformation. I have a Libertyville mailing address, just like some of my colleagues have a Wadsworth mailing address. By law, I have to live in Waukegan to serve as an alderman of your city. So I hope that clarifies that misinformation being spread. But it also rolls into the fact that this city is a melting pot of all different kinds of things. In the 9th Ward, we represent 4 different school districts, several different zip codes, but in our city in general, we serve many zip codes. And I want to give you an experience I had when the vaccine first became available at Greenbelt. And I called up because I had some residents who wanted to get the shot and who were denied. And it was because initially they were being told that you had to have a 60085 or 60087 zip code. I explained to them, I am a Waukegan resident. I am a 9th Ward alderman. I could not be an alderman without living in this city. Why are the 9th Ward residents not being represented? They did their homework and said, you're absolutely right. And we spread those zip codes. So this is something that comes up a lot, but the reality of it is we have annexed these areas and they are all part of our city. I also want to talk a little bit about offering my condolences and echo my condolences to the families who have lost loved ones, not just now, but throughout this whole COVID crisis. We have lost a lot of our city. And I just want to say to those families, we care. And it is heart-wrenching to hear about some of these longtime families not being part of our city anymore. Last, I want to say congratulations to David and Jane, who work their rear ends off each and every day. And I can't thank them enough. It's finally time that we gave them recognition, and thank you very much for that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Alderman Bolton.
Yes, I too want to echo congratulations to Jane and also David for their contribution. Anytime I needed them, they were right there and serving. So I just thank you for your contribution that you've given to our city. And then I too want to echo, my condolences to the Randy Furlow, the Adams family, the Duffley family, and then lastly, of course, Apostle Harry Stackhouse, as well as Deborah Stackhouse, as well as the family. Their church was within my ward, and I grew up with them in the church community, and I also worked as a partner in helping them to operate their halfway house called Rope House. So our journey has been quite extensive, and so I send my condolences and my prayers to you all. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That concludes, sir.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Alderman Mozio, second by Alderman Florian to adjourn. Thank you, Alderman. As always, take care of yourselves. Please try to stay healthy. Staying home is not the key now. The key is get vaccinated. God bless you all. Have a great evening.
Roll call.
Bye.
I'm sorry, roll call, please.
Oh,
Uh-oh, somebody was saying
I
something.
already hung up.
I'm here.
We got enough, we have a quorum to.
Yeah, we have a
to-
quorum.
You can take roll.
All right, I'm gonna take roll, Janet. Here we go. All right, I'm gonna go from my screen. Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor,
Aye.
Alderman Newsom,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Bolton,
Aye.
Alderman Seeger,
Aye.
Alderman Mozio,
Aye.
Abe Lincoln, Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Motion passed. Meeting's adjourned.
Nice,
Thank you.
folks.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone, and
Good night to everyone, and
Good
St.
night.
Patrick's Day.